This afternoon, you're listening to the Todd LaBorwit Show, Real Estate Radio and Sound Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. I'm your host, Todd LaBorwit, and this segment is brought to you by Topaz Mortgage, our preferred partner for mortgage brokering. And in the studio with me now is Matthew Moore. He's a partner at Shulman Rogers. He does a lot of litigation for real estate brokers, defending them, and he's got a lot of stories here to share. I only know that we have 11 minutes on this, Matthew, but welcome to the studio.
Hi, 11 minutes isn't enough time for an attorney to even get started, but thanks.
Well, they'll have to call you for more information.
That will be great.
So tell us your background with the law and how you got into the real estate.
My background in the law, I graduated from Georgetown University Law School.
Joe Hoyas?
That's correct. And joined Shulman Rogers about 16 years ago. Prior to joining Shulman Rogers, I was with a firm that represented almost exclusively one of the larger real estate brokerage firms in the area, and did that defending malpractice action claims, chasing commissions, etc. Joined Shulman Rogers with their builder practice, representing large national home builders. Since then, represented property management companies, developers, all types of civil litigation.
It's interesting. So is the litigation for the real estate brokers in the past, now you're dealing with like the big builders?
In most builders, property management companies, all the usually big companies.
So you know the direction that this area is moving forward to?
Yes.
So can I ask you some tough questions?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I have a question. Over in Germantown, they're building that whole entire development, and there's some land that they're going to build a school. And there's rumor that if they build a school, that a lot of the students that would normally go to Gaithersburg High School is now going to go to this school in the community, and it's going to rearrange all of these school district lines within Montgomery County. My question to you is, I heard that the builders can influence these, whoever lawmakers are, to move the school line. So someone that's basically affording a house because they want their kid to go to a certain school within the county, in Montgomery County, if that line changes, their house value is going to plummet.
I don't know that it would plummet, and that's probably more of a question for some other real estate attorneys in our office, zoning attorneys, but I have heard colloquialisms. I mean, there's a development that's straddles the line of Prince George's County and I believe Howard County, and apparently if you're on one in Prince George's County, your house value is $100,000 lower than if you're in the same neighborhood in Howard County.
It's amazing.
It is. And that's something that's been discussed often. So it's not out of the question that could happen.
And well, that's a whole other direction to go in. So moving forward, what are things that you can share? I got to get something out of it.
Well,
I'll listen up now, but
yeah, I guess I could share all kinds of things, helpful tips for people who have things they want to litigate. I mean, most of the time I probably spend at least a couple phone calls a day trying to talk people out of litigating.
Like, what are some of the things that, well, not talking out of it, what are some of the things that you see come across your desk that's worth litigating?
Well, almost any attorney is going to charge you an hourly rate of $200 or more. You'll be hard-pressed to find anybody less than $200. So in order for something to be worth litigating, it almost has to be more than $10,000. District court litigation, you can sue for up to $30,000, and if you stay in district court, you can probably limit yourself to 1 or 2 court appearances. The problem is when you get to circuit court, anything over $30,000, sometimes you can try a case that where the amount of damages are $500,000 as cheaply as you can try a case that's $50,000. So it really goes a case-by-case basis. Anything $5,000 or below, it's probably not going to be very economical to hire an attorney.
But let's talk about you. Someone has a case where they want to litigate. They feel like they were wronged.
Yes.
Do they have to take out a second mortgage and put a retainer down? Like, how does it work? Or do they have a certain amount of hours and you go up so far until you need the... How does it work in the real world?
They might. Any new client coming into a firm, unless they're a big corporation, is going to have to pay a retainer. And that retainer is generally going to be based upon the attorney's estimation of how much that litigation is going to cost, at least for the first several months. And the problem with litigation is it's unpredictable. If you're the plaintiff, once you file a lawsuit, you don't know what the defendant's going to do, what motions they're going to file, what discovery they're going to submit to you that you have to answer. It's completely unpredictable, and that's part of the reason why I try to talk people out of litigation, because I get people all the time who say, I don't care how much it costs. I would rather pay you than pay them. Once they get to attorney's fee invoices, they generally change their opinion on that. So, and it's not just our invoices. Attorneys, litigation is not cheap.
Well, by the way, if you're tuning in, I have with me Matthew Moore. He's a partner at Shulman Rogers in Potomac, Maryland. I'm your host, Todd LaBorwit, and you're listening to Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. Now, Matthew, what are some good stories you have for us, for my listeners?
Well, good stories. I can tell you one homeowner that I helped about a year or so ago. They had an issue where they purchased their house, and after they purchased, they had severe problems with their plumbing, and they dug up their plumbing and realized that the prior owner had done a horrible job with the addition. They didn't pull licenses for it. They were putting 12-inch pipes that flowed into 8-inch pipes, and that caused huge backups.
Now, is this a responsibility of a home inspector to go out? Because we have learned that home inspectors are not licensed in D.C. or Virginia, and they have to be it's an easy license in Maryland.
Correct. And what I've also learned from my own personal experience is that a lot of them receive training over the internet. They look for a checklist. But the problem with pursuing homeowners, home inspection companies, they can certainly be liable for a failed inspection. But most of these problems, and the problem I was just talking about, would not be discovered by home inspection because they can't go behind the walls or below the floors.
Got it.
So this was something that the home buyer only discovered after they moved in and started using the plumbing. And we did some sleuthing, and we were able to settle that with letters and by showing our proof rather than going to trial and surprising them. I think we were talking earlier about how expensive litigation is. So as a result, what we try to do is through letters, either where we're on the defense or we're the plaintiff, to try to settle things quickly. And what we did, we were able to find the seller there was denying that they did the addition. They said the owner prior to them who had been foreclosed on did the addition without the license. We were able to prove from the date stamping on the pipe, the PVC pipe, that that pipe was installed after our seller had purchased the house. So they clearly did the addition, and they went from offering us half once we provided that information to giving us everything. So a lot of what I try to do is get things settled without litigation, and that is part of litigation.
But when you go after someone like this, once you get the judgment, I guess, then how do you make sure that their assets aren't hidden, or is that a whole other game changer?
It can often be very difficult to collect a judgment. So we will want to investigate as best we can before we bring a client into litigation and have them file suit. We try to give them as much information. These are the assets we know the defendant doesn't have or has, or we could do the complete opposite. Say, do you really want to file this litigation because I can get you a judgment of $100,000, $500,000, whatever the amount might be, but you may never collect.
So it's like you're a private detective going in before you go into the whole entire situation.
I have a lot of my clients are repeat business. And that's because I don't try to just go full steam ahead with litigation without giving them as full a picture as I can.
Oh. Well, Matthew, what I'd like to offer our listeners, if it's okay with you, is a 15-minute telephone consultation to see if there is a case that someone might be interested in pursuing and retaining your services. what I'd like to offer you is that chance to get in touch with Matthew Moore. If you do have a situation that is real estate related and you'd like to talk to him, please call or text me at 301-467-8444. That number again is 301-467-8444. And keep in mind, if you talk for the full 15 minutes, you run out of time. Is that right?
That's right.
So give him a chance to give us some feedback.
And you know, the lawyers always have their clock up on the desk to know how much time they need to bill for a certain matter.
Right. I tried to get 30, but this guy's good. He said he can get it down to 15. And also, as far as real estate, what are some things that real estate brokers, you said you defended a lot of them, what are things that you saw that were legitimate claims that people had against people, or things that were ridiculous?
Well, a lot of claims against real estate agents result from either the buyer or seller being mad at each other, and then they include
so the egos get in the way. Got it. Well, Matthew Moore, a partner at Shulman Rogers, thank you so much for being here.